Cell phones are actually radios that divide a city into small cells. This allows extensive frequency reuse across the city, so millions of people can use their cell phones at one time. The best way to understand this is to compare it to a CB radio or a walkie-talkie. A full duplex versus half duplex. Both walkie-talkies and CB radios are half-duplex devices. That is, two people communicating on a CB radio use the same frequency, so only one person can talk at a time. A cell phone is a full duplex device. That means that you can use one frequency for talking and a second separate frequency for listening. Both people can call and talk at once. Channels. A walkie-talkie typically has one channel and a CB radio has 40 channels. A typical cell phone can communicate on 1,664 channels or more. A walkie-talkie can transmit about 1 mile using a 0.25 watt transmitter. A CB radio, because it has a much higher power, can transmit about 5 miles using a 5 watt transmitter. Cell phones operate within cells, and they can switch cells as they move around. Cells give cell phones incredible range. Someone using a cell phone can drive hundreds of miles and maintain a conversation the entire time because of the cellular approach. As you can see, half duplex radio, both transmitters use the same frequency, only one party can talk at a time. In the full duplex radio, two transmitters use different frequencies, so both people can talk at the same time. The carrier receives about 800 frequencies to use across the city. The carrier also chops the city into cells, each cell typically sized about 10 square miles. Cells are normally thought of as hexagons on a big hexagonal grid.
No, we found out from my neighbor.
Each of these base stations consists of a tower and small building containing the radio equipment.
But don't say anything to Bob or Mom. We'll tell them on
The
Thursday.
single cell in an analog cell phone system uses 1/7 of the available duplex channel. Each cell on this grid is using 1/7 of the available channels, so it has a unique set of frequencies and there are no collisions. A cell phone carrier can typically get 832 radio frequencies to use in the city. Each cell phone uses 2 frequencies per call, so there are typically 395 voice channels per the carrier. Therefore, each cell has 56 voice channels. Cell phones have low transmitters, and the base station also is transmitting at low power. Low power transmitters have 2 advantages. Transmissions of a base station and phones within its cell do not make it very far outside the cell. Therefore, the figure above, both purple cells can reuse the same 56 frequencies. The power consumption of the cell phone, which is normally battery operated, is relatively low. Low power means small batteries. This is what happens when you call. First, when you power up your phone, it listens for a CID on the control channel. The control channel is a special frequency that the phone and base station use to talk to one another about things like call setup and channel changing. If the phone cannot find any control channels to listen to, it knows it is out of range and displays a no service message. When it receives a CID, the phone compares it to the CID programmed into the phone. So if the CID match, the phone knows that the cell is communicating with a part of its home system. Along with the CID, the phone also transmits a registration request, and the MTSO keeps track of your phone's location in a database. This way, the MTSO knows which cell you are in and when it wants to ring your phone. The MTSO gets the call and it tries to find you. It looks in its database to see which cell you are in. The MTSO picks a frequency pair that your phone will use in that cell to take the call. The MTSO communicates with your phone over the control channel to tell it which frequencies to use. And once your phone and the tower switch on those frequencies, the call is connected. Now you are talking by two-way radio to a friend. As you move toward the edge of your cell's base station notes that your signal strength is diminishing. Meanwhile, the base station in the cell you are moving toward sees your phone signal strength increasing. The two base stations coordinate with each other through the MTSO, and at the same point your phone gets a signal on a control channel telling it to change frequency. This handoff switches your phone to new cell. But if the SID on the control channel does not match the SID programmed into your phone, then the phone knows it is roaming. The MTSO of the cell that you are roaming in contacts the MTSO of your home system, which then checks its database to confirm that the SID of the phone you are using is valid. Your home system verifies your phone at the local MTSO, which then tracks your phone as you move through its cells. And the most amazing part is this all happens within seconds. Cell phone towers. It's typically a steel pole or live structure that rises hundreds of feet into the air. This cell phone tower is a typical one. It's three different cell phone providers riding on the same structure. If you look at the base of the tower, you can see that each provider has its own equipment. You can also see how little equipment is involved in today's operations compared to years before. The box houses the radio transmitters and receivers that the tower communicate with the phone. The radios connect with an antenna on the tower through a set of thick cables. If you look closely, you will see that the tower and all of the cables and equipment at the base of the tower are heavily grounded. For example, the plate in this shot with the green wires bulking onto it is solid copper grounding plate. So, the cell phone signal goes from the calling phone to this tower, to satellite or fiber optic cables under the ground, to another tower, and then to the person receiving the call. Now,
okay, I'm going to talk about the benefits and limitations of cell phones. In the social aspect of it, people with cell phones can talk to anybody else from around the world, from anywhere else they are. It really improves long-distance calling. Cell phones make it easier to keep your contact information for all your friends and family in one place. With cell phones, you can also email on them and text messages. The limitations to cell phones are that a lot of teenagers never really stop talking and texting on their cell phones, so it takes away from person-to-person contact. It also takes away focus when you're driving. Economic. People with cell phones are more likely to get a job, and it helps them keep their job because they can stay in contact with their boss and their coworkers. Limitations of cell phones are that they require a lot of towers, so there's more building required of the towers and more money spent on them. In the political part, cell phones are important in pro-democracy around the world, and it helps in court as evidence because they can record something that happened. A negative of this is that people can track you down with GPS, and the government can listen in on your calls. Environmental. Cell phones are recyclable, and if you do that, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions and it keeps them out of landfills. It also saves natural resources that cell phones are made up of. A limitation of this is that there's a lot of bacteria on cell phones. Another thing that could happen is that if it's raining outside and you're on your cell phone, it could get damaged. Cell phones have become a huge part in everyone's culture, and almost everybody has one. A negative of that is that it's become a phenomenon and an addiction to a lot of people. Taking in all the benefits and limitations of cell phones, we think that cell phones are positive to our world today.